Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer. Today we're here with BRETONNIA. Optimus Pine submitted this replay. I actually asked him after he submitted the end screen. And yeah, it's going to be BRETONNIA versus the Beastmen. You can see right off the bat we've got a Cygor pounding away. There's a summoned Cygor as well. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. Malagor and a Gorbel. Really like to pick up Gorbel here, as I do these guys, Butchers of Kalkengard. Excellent pick against BRETONNIA. For them, we do have the Green Knight sort of circling up and around a whole line of 6 Ungors, which is a lot of Ungors, and some Hounds and Centigors out to the side here, Poison Hounds and regular Centigors in the mirror over here. For BRETONNIA, peasants with the Holy Wardens up front. We've got 2 units of Grail Knights, some Spearmen supporting the back, a Damsel Lore of Life, and of course Lewin now flying over towards the opposing lines. And yeah, we're going to get an infantry engagement generally underway here. You can see the Cygor tossing rocks at the expensive Grail Knights, which is obviously the right target. And yeah, the Ungors will actually do pretty well here. They do miss their charge bonus, which is a bit of a not the best. I mean, it's not amazing, but plus 16 charge bonus for a low tier unit actually isn't the worst. Grail Knights get a good charge here. Meanwhile, in the back line, you can see Lewin is going after this Eye of Morslib, at least trying to distract it. This is a little bit dangerous. He's going to take a lot of damage from Gorbel, and equally, charging the Green Knight in here is also insanely risky. The Eye of Morslib has 61 melee attack, and it does magic damage, so the Green Knight is at a huge risk here. If he takes a couple bad hits from the Eye of Morslib, it will do a ton of damage. Speaking of which, Lewin's also taking a ton of damage, and that's really not doing great on the balance power. This frontline engagement had been going relatively well, but here come the Butchers of Kalkengard, turning that around in a big hurry. Morgur's also here, ready to summon up some Chaos Spawn. Meanwhile, the Grail Knights are out on the flanks dealing with some of these Hounds and Centigors, trying to secure mobility advantage. Over on the other side, these Hounds here are being fended off by some spears. You can see the peasants, because the Ungors missed their charge there, the peasants actually will trade pretty evenly. But obviously with the support elements here, the Beastmen are going to kind of carry this, especially the Terror from the Butchers of Kalkengard. Likewise, though, Lewin, freed up from that backline engagement, decided to come back here and drop some terror routes on the main line, which is obviously a good pick. The Grail Knights are able to get back up and around now, start working their way back towards this area here. And yeah, Green Knight had been fighting Gorbel, but yeah, you can see once the Eye of Morslib turns around here, if his melee attacks actually make contact, it's a bit of a dice roll, remember, but if they make contact, they will do quite a bit of damage to the Green Knight here. So far the Green Knight's been getting some pretty favorable dice rolls, but he is starting to take some successive hits. Thankfully, the Grail Knights are going to come in here, get a nice surrounding charge, and start to do a bunch of anti-large damage. Obviously, the Cygor's low armor. Gorbel does have a ton of armor, but Lewin distracting the second summoned Cygor here. You can see the first one already has fallen, and this is the main reason why I'm not a big fan of the Cygor summons anymore. I find that you really just don't get your value out of them in terms of you know, the Winds of Magic cost and for how long they last. You just, I mean, they do okay in melee, but they're really not meant for that. They're meant for range damage. Anyway, you can see the Green Knight is taking some pretty serious damage here. Thankfully, the BRETONNIA healer is still on station, getting a really efficient Earthblood. Remember, Earthblood does have max targets now, but here there's only 3 units to be healed, so it will heal all 3. Meanwhile, Lewin doing what he can to support in the front line. You can see the front line engagement did sort of scatter in the Beastmen's favor, and we do have the Cygor summons up. So if you look at the balance of power, it is heavily in the Beastmen's favor right now. A lot of that does come from 3 summoned units, one of which just went down there, and that is going to bring things back a little bit. But once those Chaos Spawn also fade away, it looks like one of the other units just faded away as well. That will bring the balance power back a little bit, but oh man, this is really rough. The Warp Gaze from that Regiment Renowned Eye of Morslib going to allow those Butchers of Kalkengard to get in here. Morgur as well going to be able to get in here and get a few swings. And yeah, it's just rough for these Grail Knights. That being said, looks like an Earthblood was popped. It is worth noting that Minotaurs do not suffer forest penalties. So, I mean, doing exactly this, getting these Grail Knights up and out of the forest so that they don't have to fight the Butchers of Kalkengard in the forest, because obviously Grail Knights, being regular large units, will suffer forest penalties. However, Minotaurs do not. The same goes, you know, for the Damsel, for Lewin, for the Green Knight, all the rest of these large units for Bretonnia. They want to take this fight absolutely outside of the forest. So yeah, you can see them pulling away as the butchers get a nasty rear charge here. They're going to be able to drop a few unit models. Green Knight kicking his heels up. Probably going to turn around and start to get some attacks in here. Looks like he might try and pull away there, but Lewin was able to rally some of the peasants up on the hill. You can see these archers and spearmen kind of making their stand here. Another really efficient Earthblood hitting all these high-value units. Some men-at-arms had been able to get back here, and Lewin actually does a good job terrifying away this Brave Shaman. Granted, he's already used up all of his magic. He actually only brought that one spell, so yeah. He's pretty much got his value there, but it is still something on the balance of power. And you can see that Bretonnia is starting to claw their way back here. This Death Star kind of forming up with the Green Knight on one side and Lewin on the other. Very thematic and very strong as well. Both incredibly powerful characters. Not to mention the Grail Knights, again, just rampaging through these low-tier Beastmen units. Just basically can't touch them. These guys already have 115 kills, 2 XP chevrons, well on their way to a third, so we'll see where they end up by the end. But if Bretonnia is going to win this game, it is certainly going to require a lot of heavy lifting yet from these Grail Knights, and they are relatively low. Green Knight getting pretty close to his healing cap. Likewise, Lewin has taken quite a bit of damage as well. The Butchers down to 10 unit models, but still have plenty of cap space left. It looks like they actually just dropped a model there. The Green Knight getting in here with the King himself, and a beautiful thematic charge from those Grail Knights. Oh man, this game is gorgeous. Holy guacamole. Hound's going to get in here for the Beastmen, apply some nice poison to everyone, and you can see those Grail Knights are sort of running out of steam. That being said, the Butchers of Calgard have taken an extreme amount of damage, just the focus of all these different expensive units. The Holy Wardens even running in here, you know, dual wielding their swords and hammers. Got their magic and fire damage ready to go. And it's going to be enough to see away the last of these Beastmen units kind of in this center pocket here. There are quite a few scattered Ungor still. And because Morgr is, for some reason, way more powerful on the balance power than he should be, yeah, the balance power is still even at this point, but with Bretonnia having dealt with the Butchers of Calkengard and with the Eye of Morslib there, which did get taken out by the Green Knight, but the majority of the damage done to the Green Knight was done by the Eye of Morslib, so, I mean, it's interesting. You know, the Green Knight being an ethereal unit, because he has such good combat stats, you sort of can try, and especially with Lewin buffing him with, like, Stand Your Ground, if you can get the advantage of, like, Sword of Corone debuffing your opponent, the dice rolls can go in your favor sometimes with the Green Knight, and he can survive against targets which may seem risky on paper. You just have to be careful if he starts taking a lot of damage to pull him away. He does have his own innate healing if you put him in the forest, so yeah, with the ability there, if I can highlight it here, this Sacred Guardian will give him some free replenishment basically, but yeah, I actually quite like the pick against the Beastmen, because the Eye of Morslib is really the only target that can do magic damage, like really consistent magic damage. I guess they have that one Regiment of Renown Centaur with Great Weapon. You don't see them super often. They are a pretty good pick here because they do okay against like Grail Knights and Lewin. There's a lot of physical resistance going around in general for Bretonnia for some of their higher tier units, so you know the magic damage definitely helps, as does the heavier armor. Still though, you tend not to see them super often just because of their price point. But yeah, other than them and the Eye of Morslib, there's not a lot that can do good magic damage for the Beastmen. So and even in a situation as this replay showed, where your opponent does bring the Eye of Morslib and you even commit to a fight directly with the Green Knight against it, you know, as long as you have other supporting elements distracting the attack animations, you're using the Green Knight intelligently to get around, get rear charges, and not leave him in combat for too long. Get in, get some damage done, get out, charge to another target, you know, try and keep him moving around as much as possible. And at this point, he's at the helm of this pack of Grail Knights, charging through the forest. Holy cow. That is such a cool shot right there, just wrecking into those Ungors, absolutely ping-ponging them back and forth off of these trees here. And yeah, man, this this Green Knight leading this like very small elite pack of Grail Knights, that's all that's left of this huge Bretonnian army. Oh man, it's such an epic shot. And yeah, as soon as I saw the end screen, I asked Optimus Pine to send me this replay, please, because I knew you guys would love it. And hopefully you have enjoyed it. I know I certainly did. One of the best BRETONNIA replays I've seen in a while. Just in terms of thematics, just the battle itself, taking out one of their hated foes, the Beastmen. Me personally as well, I don't know if you guys know this, but I kind of have a personal problem fighting with Beastmen. It seems like a lot of the time when I'm in tournaments, not recently, but it's been a while, but the Beastmen have just been sort of my personal nemesis in a lot of ways, and yeah, so it's great to see Optimus Pine, #1, take a super cool build and, you know, bring victory to BRETONNIA, and not only that, but an awesome comeback win with some great use of super cool and thematic units. 113 kills for Lewin, 50 for the Green Knight, 168 and up to a silver XP chevron, rank 4 for these Grail Knights. That is super impressive. 92 kills on these Grail Knights. They basically killed, let's see, all the Centaurs, all of the Hounds, most of the Ungor, and also did the majority of the damage to the Butchers of Kalkengard, most likely. I mean, granted, Lewin and the Green Knight also did quite a bit as well. Let's not take away from their contribution. The Damsel did her job of healing. Peasants, you know, died in droves, which is exactly what they're supposed to do. And on the Beastmen side, yeah, I already sort of said my piece about the Cygor summons. I'm not the biggest fan in the world. Gorbel, on the other hand, really, really nice here. Butchers of Kalkengard, also great. Overall, this build is pretty solid. I might actually swap these Ungor Herd out for Ungor Spearmen, just because, I mean, I get he wanted to have the Vanguard line up on top of that hill, but, I mean, obviously the Anti-Large is going to help a little bit here, and honestly, Spearmen Herd aren't too bad in terms of their raw combat stats. I mean, they're not that great regularly, but keep in mind they do get Primal Fury, up to 25 melee attack. Honestly, not awful in terms of their offensive attack stats and so on. So, you know, with the anti-large and the charge defense and everything else, it's just generally more advisable. I would probably go with something like this, just 5 Ungor Spearmen Herd for an infantry line. It's going to just free up a little bit more funds to be allocated elsewhere. Obviously, Morger is a good pick. Typically, you'll see him with just the summons and not worry about the other abilities. Gorbel, like I said, a great pick here. You can really kind of kit him out how you want, but typically I will cut the active abilities. Deadly Onslaught can be pretty good, but at the very least take Slaughterer's Call because it is a passive. And yeah, from there, Butchers of Kalkengard, a great pick. The Eye of Morslib is pretty much always a good pick. And then, yeah, having the Centaurs with the Hounds. See, with the extra funds here, we could even go in and say, like, upgrade these guys. Maybe make one of them the Regiment of Renown for the magic damage and the AP, and get another AP variant. And we do need a caster as well. So Lore of Wild isn't bad here if you take some spells. Savage Dominion we're going to cut. I'm going to take Mantle of Garok. We're going to specifically use this to buff up low armor, high value units. The Eye of Morslib, if it gets caught out in melee by something like the Green Knight, that will give it the extra melee attack it needs to guarantee hits on those dice rolls. And, you know, obviously the extra weapon damage will mean it just hits that much harder as well. Same thing, like you can cast it on Gorbel, you can cast it on the Butchers of Kalkengard, you could even cast it on the Centaurs or the Sons of Goros if you need to. But just overall, it's a super powerful buff spell. And so I generally like to have that in the toolkit. Against BRETONNIA, Traderkin might not be a bad idea as well. It is a little bit expensive on the Winds of Magic, but it's pretty good against Cav from what I remember. Don't quote me on that, but and then just a Brave Scream maybe to get the nice cheap Vigor refresh. It is a little bit probably more expensive than the spell loadout that the other Shaman had. Obviously, he just had the one spell, but it's something. And again, with the cost we saved on infantry, that allows us to kind of do that. If you really wanted to, you could come in here and cut Traderkin and just focus on buffing up your you know, Minotaurs and other things with the Mantle. Then maybe grab an extra Spearman if you really wanted to, or do something else with those funds. You know, there's various options. But just in general, I would say it's probably not worth it at this point to take the Cygor summons. I still am seeing it a lot these days, but I just really think you're better off to go with pretty much anything else. I mean, heck, you don't even have to take Lore of Wild. You can go crazy, take Lore of Death, and bring Spirit Leech spam. That's actually not too bad against Bretonnian Cav, because Spirit Leech is pretty efficient against Cav, believe it or not. You can take things like Aspect of Dread Knight, maybe. Maybe you want a Doom of Darkness for a Leadership Bomb or something. You can get Lore of Shadows is super useful. Melkost helps you kind of control. It does okay damage against Cav. You know, you can get like Enfeebling Foe. Obviously, you have Lore of Beasts, so if you want an efficient summon, then you take Transformation of Kadon, which is much, much more efficient than the Cygor summon, in my opinion. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I had for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.